Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. And what is this video about today? What is it about? Well, I should tell you. As you may remember in my previous video, I made a little sort of sequencer in Max for Live that was for chopping up sliced samples in Simpler. And I got quite a little bit of feedback about that from people who were very interested in the idea of exploring more things about building sequences in Max for Live. And I thought to myself, yeah, all right, why not? You know, sequences are fun and, you know, there's lots to explore. There's so many different approaches that you can take. Maybe I could turn this into a little bit of a series about building sequences in Max for Live. There were a couple of things in the previous video that I touched on that I didn't really go much further with. So I'm going to explore some of those things a little bit more in this. And I'm going to go for something that's a little bit more melodic. I'm going to build like a melodic sequencer buddy that can also do maybe some very interesting things, perhaps some things that you've not seen before in any sequencer. That's probably not the case, but you know, it's fun to think, to dream. So there isn't really much more to say. We're just going to build a sequencer that's going to go plinky plonk and do stuff like that. So let's go. Let's pull in a Max MIDI effect. This is going to be a Max MIDI effect. We're going to build a sequencer. It's going to be fun. I think I might just move a few things around because the mic is not close. The mic is not close enough. Okay. So let's open Max and make it nice and big. So what are we going to do? Well, on this occasion, I'm going to look at live.step. This is a classic. This is an absolute classic. When Max for Live first came about, this was one of the new things that was a highlight of Max for Live and was new to Max and was also something that you saw in a lot of patches. If you've been using Max for Live since it came out, you'll probably recognize live.step. It was very popular on its initial release and is actually an incredibly deep object and is nice if you're an Ableton user because when you lock the patch, you can kind of use it very much like Ableton's like MIDI clips. You know, this way of like clicking and dragging is pretty much exactly the same. You sort of click in here and draw all this stuff, and there's other pages hidden underneath. You can sort of do this sort of stuff, and it's a really, really powerful little bit of design. And we're going to use this for our MIDI note sequencer. So as ever, the first thing I like to think about is how are we going to drive our sequencer? So you may remember in the last video, I was using phaser. So phaser is very good because we can get phaser to ramp from 0 to 1, synced to our transport and at the sample rate of our whatever Ableton is running at. So even though I'm very much going to be working in Max for Live, Ableton is on the outside peering in going, you better make sure that I understand what you're doing. So with the @lock1 attribute, we can get phaser to ramp from 0 to 1 when I start and stop live transport, although I probably ought to give it a frequency first. So I'm going to say 1.0.0, which I believe is a bar. So if I go back to Ableton and hit go, and then go back to Max, there we go. It's ramping from 0 to 1 over the course of a bar at 120 BPM. Brilliant. So we are going to use this to drive our sequencer. So if you may remember from last time, I'm going to take a snapshot of that. Snapshot, and I'm going to say, hey, snapshot, report what the phaser is doing every 1 millisecond. Okay, so the snapshot will take an audio signal. This is an audio signal. You can see it's making audio. We can't hear it, but it is audio working at our sample rate. So, but what the snapshot does is that converts that to a number. Okay, so that's ramping from 0 to 1 at 120 BPM over the course of a bar. Brilliant. So we're going to use these numbers to drive our sequencer, but we're going to have to do a couple of things. If I just plug this straight in right now, nothing's going to happen. What I need is a number that basically goes from 1 to the amount of steps in our sequencer. So if I hit 1 right now and just hit up and down on the arrows, you can see how we're going. And then when we get to 16, it'll stop because there's only 16 steps. So I need to get that number. I need to get the numbers 1 to 16. So I'm going to multiply this. Multiply by 16. Float. And again, I'm going to select the cable, hold Shift, press N, insert change to filter out those repetitions of numbers because we're getting floating point numbers. We don't want that. We want integers. Okay, now we've got integers, big juicy integers, and I'm just going to add 1 to that. Now we're going from 1 to 16. Now I can plug that straight in there and nothing. Okay. Maybe let's just get rid of that. Okay, there we go. Brilliant. So that is ticking away and everyone is having a lovely, nice time. So good. Just a quick celebration guzzle. So that is already the beginning of our sequencer. And if I was to press stop now on the push, I've got push turned on. If I press stop, the sequencer will stop. And then if I start again, the transport will rewind and the phaser will reset. There we go. That's brilliant. That's just what I need. So we've got our sequencer and we can click and drag. Oh, hang on. Better lock the patch first. Let's lock the patch. And we can click and drag in here and make all of this sort of stuff. There are a couple of things going on with live.step. Let's have a look. I'm going to right click the inlet here and have a look at what's available. So we've got mode. Okay. So there are various modes here. Let's have a look at the modes. We've got all or pitch. So that's just going to display just the pitch. We've got velocity, where we can set our velocities. Duration, which is very good because it displays it. Can you see there? It's displaying it in note values. So really low is 128th notes. And then we've got 16th notes, 8th notes. This is really good. It's so well thought out. Whoever made this was really knew what they were doing. And then there's a couple of extra lanes which you can basically turn into whatever you want. I don't really care about those. So actually maybe what I'm going to do is just create a quick live tab to say I want to access all of those things. So let's go for simply pitch, velocity, and duration. Those are really the only things I want to work with. So now I've got a little live.tab here. Come on, make a sensible size. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. And I think probably, so 0 is all. So maybe let's just, if we hover around here with an integer, connect that there, we can see that it actually starts at 0, pitch is 0, velocity is 1, duration is 2. We don't want that, pitch is actually on 1, so we're going to add 1. And then now we can connect that straight to our, oh, yeah, no, hang on a minute. Yeah, no, we need to do prepend mode, because we are changing the mode. That is a message. So let's go pitch, velocity, duration. Sweet. Okay, so we've got a very simple sequencer there for pitch, velocity, and duration. This is good. So we need to get that information out so that we can convert it into MIDI and send it out of our Max device into Ableton. So how are we going to do that? Well, there are lots of outlets down here. Outlet 1 is a list of step values, index, pitch, velocity, duration, extra 1, extra 2. Okay, that's probably what we're going to need. Let's just have a quick look at the other ones here. Current loop points, that's interesting. Mouse over information, okay, interesting. Dump out and sequence index out. Excuse me if inside I do a childish giggle when I see the word dump out. Let's unpack some of these lists here. So we've got 5, what have we got here? Pitch, velocity, duration, extra, extra. So 5 items in that list. So let's go 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And this is actually pretty confusing. The first one is pitch. So let's create an integer there to see the pitch. Is it though? Let's have a look at the pitch. No. That's not the pitch. That's the steps. Okay, you can see we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's all right. We don't want that though, but thank you. Let's go to the pitch. Okay, that looks more like pitch to me. And then this one is going to be velocity. And then this one is going to be duration in milliseconds, I guess. So if we go to velocity and turn all this down and look at the middle one here, yeah, that's 0. Okay, I think that's right. Let's try the same with pitch. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. 1, yeah, okay, that looks good to me. So actually I don't really need those integers now. I'm just going to leave that one there though for eye candy. So I think all we need to do now is hit N and do a make note. And we can go straight from our pitch into there, our velocity into there, and our duration into there. Let's make that a bit wider so they line up nicely. All right, and then I think we're good to go. What's this? Velocity output and pitch output. So maybe we need to go note out. MIDI channel, we don't need to worry about that. Okay. Velocity. So MIDI is just one big list of numbers, and that's what we're doing. We're processing a list right now. So that's kind of it. Let's just draw in some MIDI notes here. Let's go to velocity and draw in some stuff, and let's go to duration and draw in some stuff. That should all be good. Let's go back to Ableton. Let's pull in, okay, I can see down here there's MIDI coming out. So let's just pull in electric very quickly just to... All right, cool. So, all right, so we've got a little sequencer. There we go. And we can start and stop it with the transport. Okay, and much like live.grid that we looked at in the previous video, we can randomize this sequencer all we want and get new sequences. Let's pull this up a bit. Randomize it. Random until the cows come home. I did see very quickly with my eagle eye, I saw the word scramble. Scramble, eh? What does scramble do? So that kind of scrambles the current sequence? That is cool. That is decent. Let's try random. All right, let's scramble that. That is brilliant. It takes the existing list of numbers and reorganizes them, but keeps the same numbers. That is fucking brilliant. I didn't know about that. Wow, I fucking love Max. Right. Well, there's some other interesting things there. Scramble. So right, you can move the sequence left or right. I've seen this sort of stuff. Set time. There's some interesting things in here. Okay, too many for me to get into right now because I have an agenda. So, but I'm going to keep random and scramble there. That's very nice. The fold thing. I do want to look at the fold thing though. So if we go fold pitch. So let's have a look at fold and fold pitch. So I'm going to right click and choose this message, fold pitch. So that's going to give us some messages here. Let's close the inspector a second. Okay, so that's going to give us a couple of messages here. For fold, we can, well, actually, we can create a little live text, I think. And we can say in the live text, what do we want here? Let's go to all. Scroll down here, off table, unfold, unfold, and on text, fold. All right, let's see what we get if we plug that in. Oh, did I do that right? Maybe not. Already I'm distracted. Oh, that did it. Ah! Because I need to do the prepend fold. Okay, let's go prepend fold. Prepend is basically the same as message $1, but I prefer to use prepend. So it's kind of part of my body language now. So now if I do that, now it's folded. Okay, brilliant. So let's ditch that. So with the fold pitch, we can specify pitches in which to fold to. Very, very similar to the scale folding that's now in Live 11 in MIDI clips. It's kind of a little bit of hardcore number crunching because you sort of have to know the MIDI note numbers of the scale you want to snap to. So, oh my God, this is going to be tricky. So if I make an integer here and then create another integer here, and then right click, go to prototype and say MIDI, then I can put a number in here and type in the number 60, and that's C3. Okay, so I can go fold pitch to 60, 62, tone, so 64, semitone, 65, tone, 67, tone, 69, tone, semitone, tone, semitone. Wow. I just did a major scale in numbers. My brain is going to melt. So if I fold this scale, if I go fold pitch now, it's going to fold all the notes to those numbers. And then when I fold the pitch, yeah. Although that is, that doesn't look right at all. C, D, E, I've missed some notes out. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So why hasn't that worked? Oh my goodness me. Fold. All right, let's look at the help file. Let's go to the help file. Let's go to fold mode. Use the fold pitch message to set the pitches at which you want the display in fold mode. Pitches not in the fold list will automatically be folded down to the nearest neighbor. Fold, fold. That's weird. You know what? Who cares? Let's just go with it anyway. So I folded it to those numbers, and I believe now when I hit random, it's going to randomize the data based around the folded notes. Let's see what we get. Okay, that sounds pretty C major to me. Then I can scramble it. Yeah, scramble it again. Okay. So indeed, if I didn't want to randomize, I could just sort of click and drag in here and set all the pitches myself. Let's go to duration. Let's just make them all sort of 16th notes like that. Let's go back to pitch. Yeah, so now that looks like a little bit more uniform. Don't know why there's only... It's like I've done a C major pentatonic, which isn't what I wanted. I wanted the major. Anyway, so we can click and drag around here now. This is all conformed to a major scale of sorts. Okay. Oh, there we go. Now I've got the new notes. Now, why didn't that work before? Okay, something weird. I just probably didn't click the button properly. Fold. Okay, something, there's a funny little bug there. Okay, that's fine. So now we can random, totally, yeah, we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's go. All right. Oh, that velocity down. Will it random the... Ah, that's good. So depending on what page you're on is what it randoms. So, excuse me, if we actually wanted to randomize everything, then we probably do actually need to have all in our tab here. So let's add all, and then let's remove that +1. And then if we want to randomize all of the elements, we need to go to the all page and hit random, and now everything's randomized. But if we just want to randomize the velocity, then we need to go to the velocity page and then hit random. Let's have a listen now. So the MIDI notes are the same, but the velocity's changed. We can scramble that as well. This is brilliant. This was such a good idea. I'm glad I thought of this. Right, okay, so where can we go from here? Well, what I touched on in the previous video, which I didn't go into much depth, was the idea of looking at ways in which that we can actually index through a sequencer in a sort of hybrid of linear and non-linear ways. What was that what I just said. What do those words mean? Well, so basically, currently we're going from 1 to 16. But what if we wanted to go from 16 to 1? What if we wanted to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and then 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, etc. What if we wanted to kind of create like a sequencer where we're kind of actually windowing through the sequence? You know, like the concept behind sort of doing like granular synthesis or kind of doing things with samples where you set a loop point and you're looping through a tiny, tiny fraction of this sample, but you're also moving the loop brace. In fact, I could sort of demonstrate that visually. Imagine that it was kind of just going round and round like this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but then there was something else that was moving it like that. That's basically what I'm going to do now. And we're going to do that with a handful of things. This is starting to look a little bit messy. What can I do to tidy that up a bit? Let's move all this over here. Whoops, let's put this down here. I'm going to need some space. So I'll put that over there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this area here of the part of the patch that's driving my sequencer. So we've got a phaser going from 0 to 1 at 1 bar at 120 BPM. The snapshot is converting that signal to a number. I've multiplied that by 16 because the phase is going from 0 to 1 and we need to go from 1 to 16. I'm using the change to filter out repetitions, filter out the floating point numbers to give me integers, and then I'm adding 1 because after that, it's actually going from 0 to 15 rather than 1 to 16. So I'm going to leave that +1 there though. So I'm going to hit the cable here. I'm going to hold Shift, press N, and I'm going to type Shift 5 for the modulo object. So the modulo object in my universe basically means wrap those numbers around. So if I, even though the numbers that are coming in are going from 0 to 15, if I tell the modulo to go 3, if I give it a number 3, it's going to modulo from 0, 1, 2, and then back round to 0. Let's have a look at that. There we go. So it's already doing it, see? So rather than going 1 to 16, it's going from 1 to 3. Well, actually 0 to 2, but because we've added the 1, it's going to 1 to 16 in the context of what the sequence is doing. So that could be anything we want. It could be 5. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go back round again. And then, or we could say 2. Yeah. Or we could say 7. Okay. But then how do we get it to advance in that way that I was explaining? So let's say that it's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 like this. 1, 2, 3. How do we get it to kind of move like that at a given speed? Well, if you think about what's going on here, we've got a number coming in, but regardless of what that number is, we're saying modulo 3. Every time you get to 3, go back round again. So if we were to say add a number to that, I'm going to select this cable, I'm going to hold Shift, press N, and type plus, add. Let's just say add 0 for now. If I take a number and plug that into there, and we have a look at what the output of that is, then when I start the sequencer, it's going 0 to 2 because I haven't added anything. If I add 1, now it's going 1, 2, 3. You can see it's going from here to here now. If I add 2, now it's going from 2 to 5. If I go 6, now it's going from 6, 7, it's going 6, 7, 8. So we can kind of do that manually. We can jump to a different position and window around this little part of the sequence. Let's go to step 7. We can see down here actually what's happening is actually going 7, 9, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So that's kind of just like an interesting we can just manually move that little looping window around our sequence. But what if we didn't want to do that? What if we wanted it to happen automatically? How can we have something to count that number to slowly advance through our sequencer? Well, you know what we could do? We can actually just use another phaser. So I'm going to basically copy this over here and start this up again and think about what I'm going to do. I'm just going to turn the volume down in Ableton a little bit. Maybe I'll leave it running in the background. Okay. So this is going from 1 to 0 to 15, but it's going at the same rate as our top phaser. Well, let's just say that this is our phaser that's going at 16th notes. Wouldn't it be nice if we could get this phaser to ramp really, really slowly so that it very, very, very slowly shifts this little looping window through our sequencer like this? Well, basically, we can do that by specifying a larger number of bars. The phaser is going at a rate of 1 bar, 0 beats, 0 units. That's what this 1.0.0 means. That means bars, beats, units. That's a timing syntax for Max. There are many others, but bars, beats, and units is good. I prefer to use it for long periods of time. For shorter periods of time, I prefer to use things like the note values. So if I was to create a live menu here, and then I went to prototype and I said note values, then these are very accessible. Everyone knows what a 16th note is. You know, everyone loves a dotted 8th note. That's like that's the best rhythmic gap, I think, in music. And there's some other ones. In fact, the dotted second is good, and the dotted fourth not so much. Or maybe I don't know. I like the dotted fourth as well. Yeah, the dotted ones, not the dotted 16th. That's too fast. Anyway, you get my point. So they're good for short rhythmic values. And then obviously when you get into things like milliseconds, they're very incredibly short. But for long periods of time, the bars, beats, and units is the way to go. So what if I said phaser, ramp for 4 bars? So we can have a look at what it's doing here with the live scope. And we can see that that's ramping from 0 to 1 over 4 bars. That's quite a long time. Okay, so you can see now how that this number is going much slower than whatever this number would be doing. So this number is advancing at 16th notes. This one's going at whatever, a quarter of that and divided by a quarter of that. Anyway, that's by the by. Let's delete those. Let's simply take this number here and use this to add our modulo. So our modulo is going round and round. It's going 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. And then we can use the add to shift that, offset it, if you will. Why don't we just try that right now? Let's plug that in there. See what happens. It's working. It's working. It works. Okay, something's wrong. Can you see what it's doing? So this is interesting because like you can take like a very, very, very basic 1 bar sequence and turn it into something much, much bigger that's kind of slightly sort of has this overlapping quality about it. Maybe there are other sequences out there that can do this, and maybe other people have tried this in Max. But to me, I've always sort of found this quite interesting. I certainly haven't seen it in most common sequences. I don't know what I want. It's kind of like a windowing sequencer. That's kind of what I'm going to go with. So indeed, if we made this windowing phaser, this offsetting phaser, I'll tell you what, why don't we just give these some names? Let's put a comment here and let's say main, oh, it's in black. Difficult to see. Main phaser, and then let's call this one the offset phaser. Let's just select both of those, go into the inspector, go to the text color, make them both white so we can see because there's a grey background. All right, so we've got our offset phaser and our main phaser. So let's give this an even slower time. Let's give this 8 bars. So now it's like ramping very, very, very slowly, but these steps are going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but very, very slowly they're being added and shifted along the sequence. Let's random the sequence. There's something sort of like disorientating but satisfying about it. It's got a stutteriness about it, but the way that they all sort of, it kind of sounds like it's like some sort of kind of Steve Reichian kind of delay phase thing, but it's not. Like it sounds like it's got an echo on it, but it hasn't. It's just notes kind of being indexed in a very sort of quite weird way. All right, let's change the windowing size to a very strange number like 5. Okay, we've got a slight problem there because basically when we're getting to the end of 16, there isn't really any further it can go. So it will probably get to 15 and stick. Or actually, it's trying to go to 18. It's actually trying to go to 17 and 18. Okay, we don't really want that. So actually, we can deal with that by just adding another modulo to tell it to wrap back round again. So I'll select that cable there. I'll go Shift N, and I'll say modulo 16. So now, when actually it gets to 16, so when it kind of starts overlapping here, if there's 2 notes here, it will overlap back to this one. So this modulo thing, it's loads of fun. Let's watch it do it. There we go, it did it. You can see how it's doing it there. Okay, this is cool. So what if we could, okay, so probably we need to, let's make a user interface thing so that we can set the rate of our offset phaser. So this bars, beats and units thing is kind of a list of 3 numbers. So let's make a pack. Yeah, pack like that is fine. I'm going to say 0, 0, 0. And so this is going to make a list of numbers. This should work if I create an integer. Well, let's make a live number box. Let's go into the inspector and let's say we want it to be, let's say 1 to, I don't know, 64. Let's just say, let's give it a stupid number. And then let's put that, let's put that into our first item in our pack. So if I change this number now, yeah, you can see we're getting, we can specify how we want the phaser, the offset phaser to ramp in terms of bars. So 4 bars, 5 bars, 6 bars, and we can get some very, very interesting combinations in conjunction with how the main phaser is ramping and how many steps it's moduloing. It sounds weird, but it makes sense in my brain, I promise. So let's connect this to our offset phaser. I'll put that there. Quick tip, Command J, justify a comment. Good stuff. Let's do it with that one as well. Yeah. So now we can specify, let's say we want to go for 16 bars. Just type that in there. So it's going to take 16 bars until it moves. See that number's going very slowly? Okay, this is cool. So what if, in the last video, we did a thing where when it got to the end of the sequence, it would randomize the next pattern. I think in this context, this is going to be a little bit more interesting because we're giving this sort of sequence that we haven't really heard yet, but we're hearing it in this very, very sort of stuttery kind of way, right? And what if, like, once it's got to the end of that, we get an entirely new passage? So I'm going to do the same thing. Let's find out first what the lowest number is. So it's 0. It's the 0 here. So if I create a cell 0, then when we get a 0 from this number, we can use that 0 to trigger our random, which is over here. Let's put this down here. Okay. And then again, I'll make a gate so that I can turn that on and off. So I'm going to plug the bang that's going to trigger this random into the right inlet of the gate. Actually, let's just make this a bit bigger like that. Yeah. And then I'll just make a little live toggle. Yeah. To open and close that. Right. So let's see if this works. Yeah, it's working. Okay, but let's give it a really, really long offset phase time. So let's say phase for 8 bars, and then when you get to the end of 8 bars, randomize the sequence. But let's have a modulo value of 3. I don't know what I'm going to call that. I'm going to call it window. Loop. I don't know. Loop. Rap. Rap is good. Yeah, rap. Okay, rap. I'm rapping. Rapping. There we go. It randomized the pattern. All right. Why don't we make this sound a little bit less plinky plonk and something a bit more interesting? Let's get in. Let's use wavetable. And let's maybe use LFO1 to go to the the wavetable position. Let's set this to 50. Let's go to LFO1. Let's have this really, 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 really slow. Okay. Let's put a bit of reverb on there. Let's bit of the hybrid reverb. The algorithm, let's use the, I don't really know what any of these are like. Let's use this one. It's very psychedelic, I think. It's got a very nice... It's kind of the way I'm looking at it is that it's kind of rhythmic, granular MIDI, sort of. Not quite, but it's not nearly. Okay, so let's maybe take this and see what we can do with this and see if we can... Actually, no, you know what? No, I'm just going to leave it like this. This is fine. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So, okay, so why don't we wrap up now? See what I did there, right? Let's make a number box. Let's make a live number box. And let's say for this one, we don't really want to wrap at 1 because then it's just going to go... we're going to get a stuck note. We could try it. Let's try it. Let's say we want a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 16. And let's plug that in there. That's our wrap. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. In fact, we don't even really need that. I'll leave that in there just in case. So let's put this into a presentation. That's a toggle. So let's put a comment here. Let's say random on reset. Random on wrap. Yeah. Random on wrap. That's fine. Let's reposition. Let's resize this. Okay. That looks pretty good. Put that there. Okay, so this is pretty crude. I I'll leave the scramble in, but this is you don't really want messages in a Max for Live device. Anyway, let's decide what we want. This, and this. Okay, Command Shift P to add to presentation. Good. Now let's open the Patcher Inspector. Let's say open in presentation. And let's go into presentation mode. All right. And let's think about what we want to do here. So we've got our fold. We've got our wrap. Let's put all that stuff over there. Let's put that down, put something like that. This is pretty quick and dirty. That can go there. Yeah, that's a bit silly wide. Okay, let's put that there. We'll have the fold, but let's make the fold a bit bigger. Okay, that'll do. Let's move all of this up here. And okay, something's not right. Okay, this is just a touch too big. Let's just make that a bit smaller. All right, bring you guys down a bit, and you. Okay, and this down a touch. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's save it, and I'm going to call it. I'm just going to save it to my desktop, and I'm going to call it blah 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 blah. Melodic sequencer buddy wrap. All right. Okay, we're back in Ableton. Let's see if it works. Okay, it's not because we haven't specified a wrap. Let's give it a wrap of 3. This sounds very nice. I'd be happy to listen to this for a long time, I think. Filter it down a bit. I'm not sure that wavetable LFO is doing anything though. Ah, re-trigger's on, that's why. That's better. Yeah, that's what I wanted, something like that. Beautiful. So there you go. I think that'll do. I mean, the sequences, they're almost endless. In fact, they are endless. There are no bounds when it comes to sequences. I had a very nice time doing that. And I'm grateful for all the people who reached out to me to say that they would like to see more sequencer stuff. And indeed, feel free to do that if you enjoyed this. And I'm going to go and put this on my Patreon now, where you'll be able to download it if you subscribe. I'm so close to hitting 500 patrons in and if that happened, I would do a happy wee. Can't believe I just said that. That sounds like a good thing. Anyway, if you feel like supporting me on Patreon, you can get access to all kinds of things and get involved with other cool people. We've got Discord as well, or hang out and stuff, and things happening, parties, events, maybe even events. And it all goes towards supporting me to come up with ideas to provide infotaining content for you. So have a nice time and get stuck into Max, build your own sequences and make music the way you want to. And other things that I could keep waffling on about. Okay, thanks everyone. See you next time.